going on YouTube? So another spontaneous walk. So we're gonna do, today's Earth Day, right? So I figured I'm already on a walk today. I have the camera, and we'll do sort of like a Earth Day themed kind of walk. So I'm thinking we do Narrows Avenue in Bay Ridge. And the reason we're doing that is because Narrows Avenue happens to have a lot of nice houses, but has a lot of trees along the way. And it also eventually runs into Owl's Head Park, which, as you can imagine, has a lot more greenery, and it's just basically like an earthy type of walk. And along the way, we'll cut through Fort Hamilton High School if the service road is open. Fort Hamilton High School it's directly in the path of Narrows Avenue, but they have a service road that lets you go through the school property. So if it's open, we'll cut through there. Otherwise, we'll go around. And there's a gingerbread house we'll talk about. Everybody sees this gingerbread house in Bay Ridge is pretty popular. So we'll talk about that. We'll stop there and talk about that. But I think that, we'll just do like a walk on Narrows Avenue with all the trees, and everything's getting green now. Let me flip the camera around. You can see, everything is starting to fill in here, and we'll see what we see. I think we're going to start the walk in one of the parks, and we'll come out of the park, and we'll eventually end up on Narrows Avenue. So, and there I am again. So I don't think it'll be a long walk, but we'll see. I'll probably walk slow. I mean, I guess if you notice, and you notice in my videos, I am a fast walker. I don't do any of that slow walking like I'm doing right now. I walk pretty fast, but we'll slow it down and try to make it more. We'll try to make it a little longer than normal, but we'll start the walk in a little while. I still got a little ways to go before we get to where I'm going to start the walk, and then we'll take it from there. All right, we are starting the walk. So we're going to be taking a little cut through here, through a part of Shore Road Park. It's a nice little... It's a nice area, has a lot of trees. A lot of untamed foliage. As you can see, it's could use a good cut, but they leave it alone down here. So Shore Road Park, by the way, it's a pretty big park complex. It goes from like Shore Road and 101st in that area, not exactly on 101st, but I'm just trying to kind of give you a gauge of how far it is. And it goes all the way down to 69th Street. And it basically goes in and out, like, so you're constantly coming out of the park, going in the park. So this is one of those situations where we just went in, and we're going to come back out. Yeah, so I originally was not going to do a walk. Well, I was going to walk today, but I wasn't going to whip out the camera. But I was like, today's Earth Day, and where I happen to be walking has a lot of trees, a lot of green. And why not? Why not do the walk? So we are now coming out of that little area that we just went in. See some Good looking nature here along the highway. All right, so we are now coming out of the park area, and we are on, well, at the moment we're on Shore Road, but we're about to go into Narrows Avenue, which is right here in front of us. And the thing to know about Narrows Avenue, if you remember the walk we did a couple of weeks ago, Ridge Avenue, it's a heavily, well, it's residential area. The difference being that this is the last road before you hit the end of Brooklyn, and as you can imagine, the houses here are a little bit more pricier than the ones that we saw on Ridge Boulevard, and that's because of the fact that, you know, the houses are bigger down here, there's more land, and it's closer to the park and the ocean. So we'll be seeing some nice houses along the way. Of course, the theme of the walk is Earth Day, so you will see a lot of trees. Also, as you can see to my left, there are condo co-op buildings. So most of these units are owned. These are not apartments. And you know, a lot of these houses can go for millions, right? So I'm not even going to give a range, because a lot of these houses are definitely worth in the millions. And just look at this house right here. Look at this house. So as you can see, this is Narrows Avenue pretty much. You can see it's pretty light traffic area too. Not a lot of traffic that comes down here. As far as the weather today, so the weather is pretty nice. If you saw earlier, I'm in a t-shirt. It's about 67 degrees. It's pretty humid. We have a lot of rain coming in tonight, so I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get a walk in today. But we are due to get a lot of rain overnight. So this weather that we're having right now is going to only get worse. It'll be nice, for the walk, but by the afternoon it's supposed to cloud up. It's starting to get hazy now, so, and you could tell it's going to rain because it just has that feel. It's very humid and it just smells like rain's coming. Look at this house right here on the corner. It's a big one. So you can see the difference in the houses from Ridge Boulevard to Narrows Avenue. They're much bigger, a lot more space. Got a house here to my left. And we are now going to cross 86th Street. So we started on Shore Road, and that's typically the last road around the curve of Brooklyn that runs all the way around. And eventually you end up running into these last roads on the ends of Brooklyn. as you can see so far, a lot of trees. This is a very well planted avenue. Now, I said earlier we were going to cut through Fort Hamilton High School. So Fort Hamilton High School, which sits on 85th Street here on this side, and we'll get to the gingerbread house right on the other side. But the avenue actually continues through the school grounds. Now, they do close it up at times, but it's mostly open. And, you know, people are allowed to use the grounds. So we're going to cut through this right now. I will even take a look at the school itself, and we could even look at the area surrounding it. Now, on this side here, it's hard to see behind the fence. There is a football field and a track, and it's pretty much, you know, the grounds, the school grounds, athletic field. And then to my left is the school. It's Fort Hamilton High School. All right, so we're about to hit, I want to say it's 83rd Street. Yeah, we are on 83rd. We're on 83rd Street. Got a nice big tree here on the ends of the grounds of the school. See, I think there's a great walk for Earth Day. There you go. So you're gonna see a lot of trees. So let's talk about the gingerbread house. So now, I have a lot of personal memory of the history of the house because we actually came here a few times as kids. And I don't know if you could see it from here, but basically the house, it dates back to around 1916, 1917. And we'll just walk around before we continue on Narrows Avenue. But you could see just the style of the grounds. Everything is uncut stone as far as the house, and these you know, barriers, as you can see here, and you can see old fence. But there's the house there, and you can see it's just a very Art Deco type of house. So they call it a gingerbread house because when you look at it, it basically has that mystical look to it. So it's always been known as the gingerbread house. Now, I've been inside the house before at a tour, and it's very rustic on the inside, has got a fireplace. It's just a very nice house. Let me see if I can remember some things here. The house was built by the same guy that designs it was designed by the same guy that designed the picnic house in Prospect Park. I think his name was James Kennedy. He has a middle name mixed in there that everybody mentions, but I just remember James Kennedy. And, you know, the house, like I said, since 1917. The house itself has gotten landmark status back in '88. So this is a landmark. And the roof is made of asphalt. And if you notice that the curves in the roof are supposed to complement or represent the topography of the land that it's built on. So the house, when it was built, they didn't cut anything, they didn't blow anything out. This house is built on the topography. Nothing has changed on the land. So the land stays the same. And like I said earlier, the stones are all uncut stones. You can see, if you look, you'll see all those stones are just like these stones right here are all uncut. You can see a nice little driveway here. The land goes all the way to 82nd Street. As you can see, it's a lot of land. We'll just do another walk through because I noticed that the camera was not centered, so we'll do one more little walk here so everybody can see the front. As far as the value of the house, I know it was listed for sale like back in 2012, around that time, for like 12 million, but I think the estimated price these days is around 14 million of the house. So it's a pretty expensive house. Yeah, this is the gingerbread house. A lot of people come here to take pictures and walk around. You can see little brook areas and just a nice house. I like the land. The land is really nice. All right, one more look at the house and then we're gonna start moving again. You see all those logs? Oh, I forgot to mention there is a fireplace in the house. And those logs are probably used to keep the house warm. All right, we will continue on now. We are on 82nd Street. Here's another $1 million home. And you can see a lot of these houses sit on, sit high up. Like I said, the topography around here has not changed much. We are on one of the highest points, probably the highest point in Bay Ridge. Now, eventually we're going to run into Owl's Head Park, and Owl's Head Park happens to have one of the highest points in Brooklyn. I think it's the third highest point in Brooklyn, next to Greenwood and Sunset Park. And then of course you also have Dyker Heights, which is pretty high up as far as elevation goes. And if you can see now, we're walking now downhill. We were going uphill for a while, so we are now going downhill. And as you can see, there's just lots of trees, just tree upon tree upon tree. We're now crossing through 80th Street. 80th Street runs right into Narrows Avenue. There is no throughway here, but it will continue over here. It's kind of weird also, the streets the way they are. So the street stops here, but then it continues here. So you would have to, if you're coming up 80th, you'd have to make a right and then a left. So this is also 80th Street. You can see it's on a hill. Can't see over that hill. Now this I like to refer to as the Great Wall of Narrows. This house has been built pretty high up and it features a nice big wall. So you can see the wall here. We are crossing 79th Street. And to my left, we have some smaller homes with nice bushes that are blooming out. And here we are at 78th Street. Another big house on the corner here. It always seems like the houses on the corners are the biggest houses. They get the most property. A lot of the houses here on this avenue have very nice flower beds in the fronts. The houses are very well kept, as you can imagine. You got landscapers working right now. So yeah, I thought this was a great idea. We do a walk like this on Earth Day. There's a lot of nature to look at, mixed in with some nice houses, a lot of greenery. Spring is pretty much in full swing right now. Today is, if I'm correct, is April 22nd, so we're a month into spring. May is just around the corner. And you can see even the side streets have lots of trees. I mean, just littered with trees. There's tons of trees here. Now, Brooklyn has always been known as the borough of trees. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the title for most trees, as far as the 5 boroughs goes, I think that goes to Queens. But you'll have to look that up. I'm just going off of memory. I think it's Queens. I think Queens has more trees. All right, we're crossing Bay Ridge Parkway, which, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of traffic up here, so they don't even have traffic lights. They just have a blinking red. So there's no need to direct a lot of traffic up here. It looks like we hit a block here with not a lot of trees on it. Nice brick style house. Now as we get closer to the park, the houses will start getting a little bit smaller. Well, there'll still be some big houses, but they're not going to be the same style that we've been seeing for the last 10 blocks. The houses are a little bit more bunched up down here. There'll be more apartment style 3-story houses, 2-story houses down here as we get closer to the park. And we're coming off of the hill, so the ground down here is starting to get a little bit more level. And we'll just do a little look up on these trees as we walk under these trees. And we are about to cross 72nd Street, so we're getting close to the park. Over here, where it opens up, is Severian High School. It's a Catholic high school. And this is the back of the high school. The front of the high school is over next block up on Shore Road. And as you can see, the houses have gotten much smaller down here, more compact, less land. But don't be fooled, the values of these houses are still up there. I mean, these houses are not cheap houses. Not by a stretch. They may not be in the millions, but they are close to the millions, or just a little over the millions. A lot of these houses, I can tell you, safely go over 800,000. I might even be underestimating, because you're paying. You're not just paying for the house; you're paying for the area, the land. You're close to the ocean. You got the whole Shore Road Park complex. You got Owl's Head Park coming up. You can see it over there. That's where we're gonna walk through the park and see what's in the park. I think we could do one lap around the park. And we're not gonna cover every part of the park, but we'll see what we do. We'll just get in the park and we'll walk. We are on 70th Street. And this is a dead-end block. Now we're coming up on Bay Ridge Avenue. And in case you haven't seen it, we do have a video that I did maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago where I pretty much walked Bay Ridge Parkway, Bay Ridge Avenue. This is Bay Ridge Avenue. I always get them confused. But we walked from the pier, which you see down there, and we walked all the way up until we hit 13th Avenue. So it was a long walk. I'm just gonna walk in the street because you got 3 people coming, 2 people coming, 1 in front of me with the dog. So and here we are at Owl's Head Park, which is located, well, this side of the park is on 68th Street. Now this park features one of the highest points in Brooklyn, and we're gonna probably end the walk up there. So we'll just end the walk up there, but there's pretty high points up here in Owl's Head Park. As far as why it's called Owl's Head Park, there's no definitive reason why. So the 2 competing reasons, the 2 most popular reasons are the first obvious reason is there used to be owls here, right? This park was filled with owls, right? So that's the easy one that a lot of people talk about. But the more, I don't know if it's the less popular, but the one that a lot of people refer to is that the land. Now I can't, I'm going by memory here, but either the lands after it was built, or before it was built, was shaped like an owl's head. And I think it's when before the land was developed, it was shaped like an owl's head. I think that's the other reason. But there's no records that say definitively why they call Owl's Head Park. So a lot of, you'll hear a lot of different things. Just know that nobody knows for sure, not even the Parks Department. So now this park has, the normal features to it. Has playground, basketball court, picnic area, but it also, and we're going to be walking by this in a second, also features a dog walk and a skate park. So we are going to walk by that now. And the bike path that I was on earlier, that you saw me on in my intro, it goes along Shore Road, and it actually continues through this park. So you can see right here. And according to this, I'm supposed to be in this lane, so I'm facing traffic, so I'll abide by the rules. As you can see here, you can see this hill up here. This is actually not the tallest hill in the park. We're going to be going up that hill later. But I want to walk through the park and kind of give everybody an idea of the layout, what the park looks like. So this is the dog walking area, the dog run. Dog run doesn't have a lot of dogs running in it today. It does get crowded in the afternoon. You'll see a lot of people here in the afternoon. Right now, I think I haven't looked at my clock recently, but it's around 11 in the morning. As a matter of fact, let me check now, see what time it is. It's 11:06. So you have a good sense of time. Got some park worker here doing some work. Let's see up there how high that goes up. And we're going to be going up there. No, what happens is a lot of what you see him shoveling and what you see below me here, a lot of the water, when it rains, that runoff comes down here. And you can see how high this is now. We're just to the, I guess, we're parallel to the one of the tallest points in Brooklyn. You can see how high up that goes. And a lot of the rain, what it does is it comes down and it's sort of like a mini mudslide. You just get a lot of mud comes down here. And there's drains that are to my right here. So he's probably clearing the drains out. And these are cars coming off of the Belt Parkway that will either exit for the Brooklyn Queens Expressway or 65th Street interchange. Out there you can see the old Brooklyn Army Navy terminal. You see how that's pretty steep. It might be hard to tell with the camera, but I've gone up this and it's hard. It's slippery. So we are about to hit the skate park, which is, and we'll just come in over here. It's pretty much shared by skaters. It's for both bikes and skaters, and I mean it's called a skate park, but I used to be a skateboarder. They didn't have stuff like this when I was a skateboarder. We were always getting thrown out of places to skate, and they built this when I went into the Navy after I stopped skateboarding. But as you can see, it's got a pool, it's got some nice verts. So yeah, if you're a skateboarder, take a trip down here. A couple of half pipes in here. And I remember when they first opened this up, literally when I got home, I got out of the military around 2001, and they used to, you used to have to check in here. They would have a desk out here. They had like, you could see the station, which is never used anymore. You had to sign in. If you were under a certain age, you had to have a parent with you. And, well, they don't do that anymore. They haven't done that for many years. I want to see this guy pull some air. He's just going up and down, but... All right, continue on in the park. Wrap up the walk. We're going to wrap up the walk going up one of the highest points in Brooklyn. And you'll see what I mean when we get there. I could be wrong, but I believe, and I've been in there, inside Greenwood Cemetery is the highest point. And they even have a board over there describing how George Washington stood there watching the Battle of Brooklyn during the Revolutionary War. And when you're there in the cemetery, in Greenwood Cemetery, in that spot, it's very hard to see the city at that point because a lot of buildings and trees have gone up, but it is a very high spot. As far as the second highest spot, third highest spot, fourth highest spot, I mean, nobody really talks about it, but that would be Sunset Park. If you've ever been to Sunset Park, Sunset Park is a pretty high spot. And then, of course, this is high in Diker Heights. So we are going to walk up this hill. And as you can see, this is large piece of land, and we're gonna walk up. I don't know if you could tell from the view, but it's pretty, I'm gonna say it's a steep hill, but it may be a steep hill depending on your level of, health. If you're somebody that doesn't get out and walks a lot, this is definitely be an exercise for you. And if you look beyond the horizon of the land, you could see the tops of the trees are now just starting to come into view. So you could see how high it is as I'm walking up from that perspective. So eventually when I get to the top, you'll be able to see those trees completely. And then we'll turn around and look down. And we're almost at the top. And this right here, this spot I'm going to is the actual top of the hill right here. And then you can see it slopes down a little bit on that side. So right here is the highest point. So now when we turn around and we get a view, you can see how high we are in the park now. Everything where we just were is below us. Where probably, so that apartment building out there, we are level with, if I were to count, it's hard to count the bottom floors, but we are level with at least the 4th floor of that building. Let me see if I can kind of see, it's very hard to see the windows down lower, but we are level with that building's 4th floor. So that's how high up this hill is. We basically walked up 4 floors of that building to get to the top of this hill. And I'm talking about the small building, not the towers over there. We're not talking about those towers. Those are 63 towers, but that building over there and that building there. So All right, we're gonna wrap up the walk, but what we'll do is we'll walk around, and this shouldn't take much longer, but we're gonna stop where there's the view that everybody comes to watch the sunset. So, and you'll be able to see the pier, and you'll see how high it is from over there. It's not as high as this hill, but it's still high up. So yeah, see, this was a good idea. Good walk for Earth Day. This was mostly a nature walk, I guess. I mean, we did see some nice houses, but you know, Narrows Avenue is you know, just filled with trees. And now we're ending up in the park. Now, if you remember when we were walking down a few minutes ago, we were looking up. This is where we were looking up to. So you can kind of see how high up we are over here. You can see the highway down there. But that's how high up we are now. This was what I was referencing earlier when we were looking up. You can kind of see here in this area. You can see that drop right there. So yes, the nice old tree right here that we're walking under. And well, this is it. This is where we're going to end the walk. So this area right here is very popular. In the summertime, you'll see tons of people picnicked on this hill. And there's 2 tiers to this hill. We'll actually end it on the 2nd tier just to give you an idea, but this is the top tier. We got this big tree. And you can see there's somebody out there already with a blanket, and you can see the view is just amazing up here. So you get a great view of the sunset most of the year, right? So the sun right now is setting directly in front of us this time of year. Eventually it does come almost into that tree once we hit, you know, the height of summer. So this is the top tier, and then so you got this hill that you're coming down. And then you have this 2nd tier here that is also pretty popular. As you can see, you still get a good view. I mean, as you're getting lower, the trees are in the way now, but still got a nice view of the ocean and the harbor. And it looks like there's a tanker out there anchored. That's it. I think we're gonna end the walk here. So we got our Earth Day walk in. I'll just give a little look up the hill. We'll end it here. So anyway, I thought this was a good walk for Earth Day. This was not planned. I was already on my way out, and I said, you know what? I keep hearing about Earth Day today. Why don't we just do a walk and have like a Earth Day theme to it? And well, here we go. We walked down Narrows Avenue with all the trees and the nice houses, and then we came here. We ended it here at the park, and yeah, that's about it. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.